What's a smell you can't get enough of? When I was a kid, my dad worked at a factory that made those little pine tree air fresheners. He'd come home every day smelling like them, and I loved it. I'd hug him and take in the scent, and he'd laugh, calling me his little pine cone. Fast forward 20 years, and my dad was diagnosed with cancer. It was aggressive, and he didn't have much time. I flew home to be with him, and on his last day, I sat by his bed holding his hand. He was in and out of consciousness, but at one point, he opened his eyes and smiled at me. He said, "I wish I could smell those pine trees one more time." I knew what I had to do. I drove to the nearest store and bought every pine tree air freshener they had. I hung them all around his room, and soon the whole place smelled like a forest. My dad took a deep breath, and for the first time in days, he looked peaceful. He smiled at me and said, "Thank you, my little pine cone." Then he closed his eyes and passed away. Now, every time I smell those pine tree air fresheners, I think of my dad in that moment. It's bittersweet, but mostly sweet.